So Apple recently launched the iPad Air running the M1 chip, which has been in the news for its performance and battery life and everything else that comes with it. So platform support, Thunderbolt 4, all of that. In this video, I'll discuss which iPad is the best for you. And in most cases, spoiler alert, it is just the basic iPad. And I'll tell you why or when should you upgrade. So without further ado, let's get right to it. So the hierarchy of iPads is like that. So the base iPad is a A13 Bionic. You pay a little more for the iPad mini, which is A15. Then there's the iPad Air with the A14 or M1, depending on which year you buy. And then there is iPad Pro, which is running M1 chip as well. So what's the difference between the iPad Pro and the iPad Air? You get the ProMotion display, a little bit more RAM, and you get Thunderbolt 4 instead of USB Type-C standard 3.2. Now, if you didn't understand the last few sentences, it basically means you can connect more devices at once to the iPad externally. So you can have like a USB hub, a display connected, mouse and keyboard, maybe a flash drive all at once if you have Thunderbolt 4. But if you have a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse with your regular USB iPad, you can still achieve pretty much like an external SSD and maybe a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard to use it for video editing or working or studying, doesn't matter. So it's not a huge selling point because iPad Pro doesn't have many accessories that officially support, the Thunderbolt 4 standard. So really not much you can connect except maybe high refresh rate display. I don't know why you would do that, but so iPad Pro, to be honest, is out of question unless you like high refresh rate monitors of 120 Hz. So the iPad I own right now is an iPad 8 from 2020, which is a 32GB base model Wi-Fi only. It has a 10.2-inch display, Touch ID sensor so you can unlock it with your fingerprint, and it has a good quality rear and front camera, FaceTime quality camera. OS-wise, you get the latest version of iOS 15, and generally speaking, Apple supports their devices for at least 7 years. It has an A12 Bionic processor coupled with 3GB of DDR4 memory. So that chipset combined with that amount of RAM lets you play almost any game on the iPad at 60 FPS, no issues. So I have the Rocket League Sideswipe here, you can check it out, completely smooth. Which makes you think, what do the higher end iPads give you in return for those high-end performance chips as well as more RAM? Well, if your workflow includes some sort of professional audio recording or multitasking between high-profile apps such as, say, LumaFusion as well as audio recording of some sort, so that's where the difference is. I personally use the M1 iPad Air, and in my opinion, apart from the M1 chip itself launching apps maybe 0.1 seconds faster, there isn't much of a difference at all. In fact, the basic iPad that I have, the iPad 8, which is slightly slower than the iPad 9, which has the A13 Bionic, is probably more than enough for most people, and here's why. The A13 Bionic is already super quick, A12 as well. And if you don't believe me, I have a video right up there on my channel which I edited from start to finish completely on the iPad while I was traveling without charging the iPad once. So I had 100% battery when I started in the morning, and then I started editing all the video. It was a 15-minute video which had a lot of graphs and charts, effects, transitions applied, and it exported it in about 17 minutes after it was done. So it has pretty powerful GPU inside. So you might think to yourself, okay, I'm okay with the basic iPad, what storage should I get? Luckily, Apple has increased the base level storage from 32 to 64 now, so that's the lowest you can buy. The next level is always 256. If you're doing any sort of professional work, go to 256. If you're just using your iPad for YouTube or Netflix and all that, games maybe, 64 is plenty. On a phone, it might be less because you're not, taking pictures on your iPad, unless you are that person who takes pictures with their tablets. For 99% of the audience, I highly recommend getting the base model iPad with 64GB of storage. That will get you to 100% in most tasks if you're okay with Lightning cable. If you want USB-C though, you can go with the iPad mini if you're okay with the smaller screen size, or iPad Air if you want a larger screen size. Functionally, there is no difference from iPad to the iPad Air because you still get the 60Hz display, slightly brighter, slightly better. But in everyday use, it's hard to notice. I won't be upgrading my iPad 8 anytime soon because it does everything that I need to. And if you can give it a try, if your friend has it or something like that, try your workflow. It's not a computer, but it can do most things that a computer can. To show you guys how fast it is, I'll compare it to my laptop using Browser Bench to see the performance, the real world performance of the iPad against a real computer like a Windows 10 machine that I have here, which is an Asus FX506HM. And you can see it either matches or beats it in most benchmarks, which is crazy for the price. This thing costs more than twice, and it's not even made by Apple. So to put it in a few sentences, if you are okay with Lightning, go with the base model iPad. If you're into USB-C ecosystem, go with the iPad mini or Air. To be honest, I just recommend getting the 256GB model of the base iPad. It will be more than enough. It has Touch ID, it will get you through your things. No issues at all. With that, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something new, and this will help you decide which iPad to get in the year 2022. And smash that like button if this video was interesting. Consider subscribing and dinging that notification bell just down there. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.